boys and girls. When my mom asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, this wasn't it.
I never imagined this it being it or a thing, growing up.
This wasn't it. Anyway, but we're here anyway with Rational Empiricist.
And the one difference this kind of system has from like what the Jetsons had, because they had those phone, where you could see the other person, is they would make up these masks to put on to look like, like they were up and feeling good and everything like that and made up. But now we don't have masks. We have backgrounds that we can fake. So
right.
I don't know why we turn that around, but you can also use, just avatars like this. And I don't know why the Jetsons didn't think that would have been more realistic.
What you're telling me is you got all of your prophecies from the Jetsons?
The Jetsons, yeah.
Okay.
Flying cars, all that stuff.
Okay.
When was the Jetsons made?
Back in the 60s.
Was it the 60s? Are they that old? Holy
I think
shit.
so. Let me do a little research.
So, Andrew, what do the creationists get right about cosmology? They believe in planets, right?
Right. Well, technically, that's not really cosmology. That's just astronomy.
Yeah, astronomy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
What would be because they don't really believe in cosmology, though, right? I mean, like their whole idea is just God did it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or God created the universe. That's not really a cosmology per se.
So I'm wondering what they get right, or what we can agree on. I think we can probably agree on the planets. Earth goes around the sun, but then as far as what goes around the sun and the Earth,
right? Well, there are some creationists who are geocentric, right?
Yeah.
So that's not constant either.
Nephilim free, I think.
Oh yeah, he used to be a geocentric guy, huh?
I think he might still be. I think I've heard him talk about.
Oh, if he still is, I'm well.
I don't know.
I've been off his channel for a long time now because I just can't stand it anymore.
Good for you. That's pretty cool.
I guess you have to grow a little into that position.
Yeah.
Of knowing when you've given it all you've really got to.
Well, College 2 has assisted in that regard.
Oh well, yeah. That's a big load.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
it says here that the Jetsons were created in 1962 and only had like 24 episodes, but then in 1980 they rebooted it. So something like that. So I don't know exactly how many. I know there was a Jetsons meets the Flintstones pair up somewhere.
How does that even work?
So what?
Or does Flintstones and Jetsons? How the heck does that even work?
Well, they went backwards or forward in time, depending on your point of view.
It's like doubling the magicness of the Jetsons in terms of the technology we have today, going back 100,000 years to the Flintstones.
Okay, so another spot said it wasn't revived until 85. So we have the year 62 to 63, and that's incredible to me because I don't know. I just thought it had many more seasons than that, but it was just one season in the early 60s.
Really?
It was over with by the time I was born. It had started and finished, and then up till 1985, apparently they hadn't done anything with it.
Well, I was like 11 years old when the Jetsons were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my little brother watched it. I don't know.
I feel like someone out there is going to say it, so I'm just going to say, you guys are old.
Oh, yep. Well, yeah.
Do you know what, Ed? Guess what?
I don't feel old until I try to like chase my grandson or something.
Before you can blink, you're going to be old, Andrew.
Yeah, you'll spend many more years being old than you were young.
Yeah.
That's pretty deep. I like that.
Yeah, but hopefully, you know, I mean, here's wishing that we all live to 140 or whatever.
Well, just real quick, that got me thinking, like, what technologies, what ideas will we have today in 100,000, 10,000 years will be considered Stone Age in a sense?
Yeah, which is pretty weird.
Yeah.
So that Anton Petrov did a thing on some kind of not a wormhole, but some sort of thing that they, what do they call it?
Einstein-Rosen bridge?
Something like where space basically collapses ahead of you and stretches behind you or something like that.
You mean Alcubierre drive? Yeah.
Something like that, faster than light.
Yeah. Just finding the loophole in the speed of light.
Put basically that on a motorcycle and let's get to going.
A motorcycle, yes. There are some motorcycles that when you step on them, it feels like that's what's happening.
Yeah.
My friend had one with a what the hell was it?
Imagine if Evel Knievel had that kind of engine on his motorcycle.
Yeah, 504 cubic inch V8 Chevy engine. It's like,
I don't know if I'm ever gonna get a motorcycle. I'm barely getting used to my car right now.
Don't worry about a motorcycle.
Don't get one.
You don't get one.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who regularly use their motorcycle that didn't end up in some sort of accident where they had to get a bone set or one of those padded things for ribs.
I got the idea.
And then have skin loss due to sliding across the pavement.
You put your ass on a motorcycle and then you just kiss your ass goodbye because they're not a good idea. It's like not a good idea. Strapping yourself to a rocket. Anyway, so what's up today? What is up?
I guess I'll share my screen then.
Sure.
Please do.
Of course, I prepared, relatively crappy presentation for this event. Hope you can read it, all right? Let me know if it's showing up.
Remember, this is Answers in Atheism, where no presentation is too crappy.
Oh, burn.
Burn.
Oh, well, yeah.
I'm thinking about
Is it showing up all right? I hope.
Yes.
Okay.
Stream.
So
I wonder if we make you bigger. Yeah, okay. Made you bigger. Okay.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I want to see. Oh, there we go.
You're good.
All right. So for this episode of ARE Rants, I'm going to talk about just a handful of lies from the creationists regarding the field of astronomy. And for anyone in the chat listening in, if this episode or the information covered here is interesting or enjoyable to anyone out there who might be listening in, please let me know and I might come up with a new presentation, go over some additional lies from the creationists, or kind of start something on that if anyone wants me to.
Okay.
So we have 3 lies here, and I'm going to go through them one by one. And these are pretty common lies, at least whenever creationists do talk about astronomy. But they're also specific, and they've been refuted countless times, so much so that it's not even funny anymore. But we must go over it nonetheless. So here we go. The first lie is, you hear this one the most often, that we have never seen stars or planets being formed. And here, can I fit the whole image in? Okay. here I included a kind of very simplistic diagram of the general steps by which most stars form. So basically, you start off with what's called a molecular gas cloud, or I should say a cloud of gas and dust, because there's dust in there too. And basically, turbulence in these clouds causes them to break up into these dense clumps you see here, which are called cores, uncreatively. And basically, each of these cores is going to eventually start collapsing into its own star or set of stars, maybe 2 or 3 stars. In fact, models or computer models of these types of formation processes suggest that they often do fragment into 2 or more regions. So that might or might not explain why most of the galaxies we see in our galaxy are in groups rather than just a single star like our solar system, like the sun. So that's pretty interesting. And of course, each of these clumps, as you see here, is going to start collapsing and begin relatively large in terms of the solar system we have today, but eventually collapse into what's called a protostar at the very center, which is not a true star because it's not fusing hydrogen atoms into helium atoms. Instead, it's only being heated up because it's slowly collapsing in on itself, and the heat and pressure generated from that collapse is kind of pushing backwards against the initial gravitational collapse, but still kind of getting smaller and smaller over time. Gravity is still winning. You also see jets and things like that here. Of course, you get to T-Tauri stars with the rest of the gas cloud kind of blown away, but there's still a protoplanetary disk. And within this protoplanetary disk, you can have some of the, we think, debris clumped together to form protoplanets and eventually planets, as we'll talk about later. And yeah, eventually that forms a new star once the hydrogen to helium fusion, nuclear fusion, begins to kick in. That's how you define stars. So if it's not fusing one element, usually hydrogen, into another element, usually helium, that's not considered a true star, also called a main sequence star, basically. And of course, this process can take many hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. So here's the website for that.
But that's all just a theory, right? You've never actually seen one form.
Oh, we're getting to that.
Okay.
I
mean, like, have you ever seen anybody rise from the dead?
Well, right. I often use the analogy of like, if you were to see multiple people on the Earth and say, well, this might sound a little strange, but like considering an actual birth, for example, you see one woman with kind of partway stomach extended, so you know she's in the process of giving rise to a fetus. Then you see one in labor, and then you see one without that, but you see a baby next to her. You can kind of infer that that's the process by which babies are born, right? Just by connecting the dots. It may or may not be the most, well, the correct explanation, but it's the most reasonable one, right?
But be pretty gullible to believe that women actually have babies or get pregnant. Anyway, okay.
Well, I mean, we do know. Huh?
I'm trying to put my creationist hat on, but it doesn't fit right. It doesn't fit.
Yeah, I don't know if that's your style, Speed.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to steel man them, but I'm just not that good at the whole steel manning thing.
Yeah, I know.
I admit. Yeah, I'm pretty bad at it. Okay, go ahead.
Well, we can always just say that women were created from the ribs of a man, after all.
Yep. So have we seen a star light up?
Oh, yeah. So let's start, for example, with these pictures of the gas cloud. So what you see here in picture A is what you see in visible light. for example. So the light that we're all familiar with, which is why we call it visible. The picture over here is an infrared. So the stars that weren't visible before, boop, they pop into focus because infrared can, and basically heat radiation can travel through clouds of gas and dust more easily than rays of visible light. So that's kind of the primary tool we have to see these very, very young star forming systems. So just showing that there. Just talked about that. Oh yeah, and also these initial phases are very short, astronomically speaking. Like I said, only a few 100,000, maybe a few million years. Or the initial phase at least of this collapse. And well, if you're taking into account the galaxies millions, billions of years old, there's going to be maybe a few cases where you can see this, but it's going to be very difficult to find a few cases of this even then, because most of the lifetime of the star is going to be on the main sequence. And so you're going to find most stars on the main sequence just by sheer statistical likelihood, essentially. But now we come to this picture I found of a protostar, technically a class O protostar called, I don't know if it's hops or just the letters, HOPS 383 in this little fragment of the nebula NGC 1977. And what they found was here, you can see it's rather dim. And this little spot began to brighten over time. Wait, is my mouse showing up? I don't want to.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it
is.
Good. Yeah. I just want to make sure.
So is this a PowerPoint presentation?
No, this is a Google Docs.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering because the mouse is showing up.
PowerPoint doesn't let you do that.
Oh, it doesn't? Oh, okay. Then I'm glad I didn't do PowerPoint.
Yeah.
So yeah, this dim spot is basically brightening up, and what they think that is, the most likely explanation for that is it's an outburst of heat energy caused by the gas rapidly falling onto the actual protostar and kind of causing an outburst, basically. Kind of an eruption of infrared radiation. Here's the website for that.
So was it fusion? Did it light
no. Up? I'm pretty sure it's still a protostar. It was just the like gas just hitting it and causing, well, like consider a bug hitting a windshield, except the bug is gas and dust and all that stuff hitting a giant semi-nuclear bomb in the making, essentially. So that's kind of what's going on here. So we have images of that, and then here's a really interesting thing. We actually have, so these are protoplanetary disks. So we actually see these disks where the star in the center is beginning to collapse, and the gas and dust around it is beginning to presumably form planets. Now you can see these rings here, and we think that those might be protoplanets forming, but the evidence at this point is circumstantial because, again, it's very difficult to pierce our way through the clouds of gas and dust and see individual planets, especially when there's this giant ball of, in a sense, fire blocking out the tiny little dust motes floating around it. So it's very difficult to get a direct image of these actual planets, but we do see these protoplanetary disks thanks to, mainly in the last 20 years, I think, the ALMA telescope. I forget where that is. Basically just solar systems at the very beginning of their formation, and we can see these. That's the site there. And I already talked about this. These are some.
And we have models of how those rings. We have models of how those rings form and how they then form planets. Don't we have computer models that we've done?
I believe we do, but the problem is we're not exactly sure the specifics of like what can and can't happen with accretion, like planetary accretion. So they're kind of there have been models produced, but they're not always that accurate as far as I am aware. Like they can't produce the full scope of exoplanets that we've seen, just because we don't have all the information available to us.
Okay.
But basically, like with this lie that we've never seen stars and planets form, or at least planetary systems at the very least. Like we've obviously seen other stars and protostars and other planets, exoplanets, and going around these other stars. So like this is maybe not something we have all the details about, but it's, I mean, if you look at these actual photos and kind of put them together, from these clouds of dust to these protostars to these circumstellar disks where planets are forming, basically you can get a good idea of what's actually occurring. So we do have the evidence here. It's not like we're completely in the dark.
Yeah.
So that's the first lie. Second lie, another oldie but goodie, is the idea that the speed of light has changed over time. So this is to account for the so-called distant starlight problem, that the speed of light could have been faster in the past and slowed down until today, so that way the light could get to us in 6,000 years or less. The problem with this in general is that there's this constant called the fine structure constant, alpha, which I'll show the symbol for that just here, which basically it's a way of relating how charged particles like electrons interact with particles of light called photons, mediated by the electromagnetic force, essentially. So if I go down here, so yeah, so here's the fine structure constant alpha right here, and you can see this is the equation and the rough value for it. And you can see here's c, the speed of light. So the speed of light is part of this constant, the expression for this constant.
Yep.
And basically, we've measured the value of the fine structure constant according to kind of the specific light spectra that have been taken of these atoms from very distant objects, from distant galaxies to quasars billions of years ago. Well, according to cosmology, billions of years ago. And what we see is... oh, did you say something, Scott?
Yeah, no, I have a question. So do they think it changed, like it's changing constantly over all of this time or ever since, or do they think it like changed real rapidly in the beginning, or what is their model for it exactly, this change in the speed of light?
I'm not entirely sure, but like I know it's, well, my best guess would be it was very rapid towards the very beginning of the universe, and so that the light could get here. And since then, it's just been constantly slowing to its current value, would be
right
my best guess there.
Why wouldn't they just say that God put the photon somewhere in the middle so that we could see the stars?
Oh, they consider that a no-no, because it would basically saying the light is in transit. It wasn't actually coming from an object. Basically, God is deceiving us by putting these non-existent photos here, and they don't think God is like that. So that's a no-no for them in general.
But God isn't deceiving us by this variable speed of light, right?
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
that's even more deceptive, if you ask me. Anyway, okay.
Yeah, so we've measured these atomic transitions, and we know that the speed of light is roughly constant over billions of years, because the value of the fine structure constant at various redshifts, aka the various distances when accounting for the expansion of the universe as the light travels from there to here across expanding space. There have been a few studies that show slight temporal and spatial variations, but as far as I can tell, these variations are very small, like a very small percentage variation, and they're not typically statistically significant enough to prove that it's actually changing over this time. So it's still inconclusive at this point. As far as we can tell, the fine structure constant has been constant throughout time, at the very least, throughout the history of the universe. So yeah. And moreover,
if that fine-tuning constant was different, what effect would that have on, say, atoms and molecules? They would be very different, right?
Presumably, yeah, like very small variation in it would change it, I think.
Yeah, so all of chemistry
Just
would change.
Right, yeah, because we're talking about electromagnetism here, and that's basically what determines the structure of atoms. So
yeah.
And well, I mean, if just one more thing, if the speed of light were to change over all this time, and we have this constant alpha here, then c would have to change, and the other constants would have to change in precisely the same way to account for that, and that kind of seems pretty coincidental. So
we'd also have to have some idea about why it changed, or why.
Right, exactly. Like, what reason is there for it changing?
What is the theory behind that, or is it just a what would you call it? A rescue device for Christians?
Right. Yeah, like a brute fact, basically.
Yeah. Yep.
So the final one I'm going to talk about before we just go into open conversation is this idea that dark matter was thrown in to save a dying theory that we now call the Big Bang. And this is laughably absurd because dark matter wasn't even proposed before the Big Bang really had gotten into full gear or even been accepted or tested yet. Dark matter, the idea of it, was originally proposed by Swiss astronomer Fritz Zwicky in 1933. The Big Bang theory was proposed by Lemaitre in 1931, and basically he was testing the movements of all these galaxies in the Coma cluster, a galaxy cluster, and what he discovered was there was just too much motion to be accounted for by the matter we could see in visible light alone, like the stars and gas and such. And so he proposed that there must be more matter there. Now, granted, his measurements of this weren't terribly precise as ours today, so he kind of overestimated the amount of matter there, but the basic idea was later confirmed by, or at least largely supported by later measurements. So, for example, the idea of dark matter explains galactic observations such as galaxy rotations, motions of galaxy clusters, gravitational lensing of galaxies around other galaxies, whereas Big Bang theory, it explains cosmological observations. They're not even related to galaxies, so claiming that like dark matter was made to explain or to rescue the Big Bang theory is basically like saying Big Bang theory was made to rescue general relativity, which is what it's based on.
Yeah.
Because like they're different fields and observations altogether. And finally, ended off here, I'm going to show two pictures, the actual evidence for dark matter. First, here's a picture of this cluster, I guess, named Abell 2218. And basically what you can see here is these little smudges all around it. And in fact, these aren't smudges there. These are actual galaxies behind the cluster that have been, their light coming towards us has been gravitationally bent due to the warping of space-time caused by these galaxies and their mass. And we can use that to measure the mass of the galaxies. So like we see the observed amount of bending of this light, and we can compare that to the amount of bending we would expect from just visible mass alone from the stars, for example. And of course, it doesn't match up. So we figure that there has to be more mass there that we can't see through electromagnetic radiation. And that's one way we detect it. The other way we detect it, which is one piece of evidence, it's not the most compelling piece of evidence, but it's kind of the easiest to understand, essentially is this galaxy rotation curve at the bottom is what we would expect if there was visible matter alone. Essentially, kind of Kepler's solar system, where close to the sun, things are moving around it very fast as you go farther and farther away from the sun. Gravity is getting smaller and smaller. The planets are orbiting around it slower and slower. And so similarly, we would expect the galaxy to be having its stars rotate around the center at this kind of solar system kind of relationship, I guess I would say. But that's, of course, not what we see. We see this observation from starlight and hydrogen gas around the galaxy. And that shows that, according to the dark matter idea, at least, there are other explanations of this particular phenomenon, but they're a bit or less in the consensus of modern cosmology. And basically, our idea for this is that there's a bunch of dark matter particles around the galaxies that basically exist in this large halo-like structure, and that's why the stars and matter orbiting around the galaxy near the outskirts is orbiting at roughly the same speed as the parts in the innermost regions, because there's just this amount of mass that's keeping it moving, basically, and keeping it from basically flying apart. So yeah, that's the basic idea there. And that's pretty much the things that I had time to write around. So yeah, that's the lies that about creationists, cause what the heck? What are you showing?
That's my creationist hat.
Okay, that got me laughing.
I thought I'd put my creationist hat on. So anyway.
Well, that's good. Yeah, you can think like a creationist, and
yeah, I gained a little weight.
So creationists are part of the mariachi band?
No, I think so.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
I have never met creationist mariachi. I'm just saying.
Anyway. Okay, yeah, should I open up the room, or what do you want to do?
Up to you. I'm okay with it if anyone has something.
You want to try an experiment in PowerPoint to see if we can get your mouse pointer working?
Me?
Yeah.
I'll try.
We can do it. But well, they're supposed to be able to do a right click on it and set an option that will allow you to see the mouse pointer always.
Okay, hang on a sec. Let me pull up the PowerPoint presentation.
Yep.
So from what we were talking about before we went live, Andrew, I think you should, I'm going to try to do this carbon chemistry thing. And what I'm looking for is a really quick shortcut for the layman to understand what you need to know about structure in organic chemistry, and without getting bogged down in all the orbitals and the details. So anyway, and you could probably would benefit from that. because we really need to know what those little molecules are doing. I think so.
Yes, it's important to know what molecules are doing. Molecules can kill you.
Right.
In fact, most molecules are out to kill you. So think about that. They want you dead. You need to keep up on what they're doing.
Now, Brainbug did a thing on molecules that can kill you this morning. He was talking about the toxin from the Black Widow. And
that molecule is really bad.
Yeah, it's a protein. And I think it's about 1,200 amino acids. I forget what it's called. But anyway, it's pretty badass. And that molecule can kill you. So let's see here. Let me see if I can. What was your idea there, Scott? Did you have an idea?
Open up a PowerPoint presentation that you've prepared sometime in the past.
Okay, I'm working on that.
It doesn't have to be a big one. We're just doing a proof of concept. Meanwhile, I'm going to put the let's make it full screen. Now you should be able to, let's see, start is it running as a slideshow?
No.
Okay, start the slideshow.
Okay, I'll have to do something else for that. Hang on a second.
Well, that's fine right there. Carbon chemistry. Yeah, like I said, we just need to do the
let's
proof
see.
of concept.
Go to PDF, and now I think I can start it as a slideshow, which would be.
Oh, sorry.
If I could see.
Now, from somewhere on that slide, right click.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't see the.
You're not going to see the drop. No.
Okay.
You're not going to see
pointer options. Do you have a pointer options?
Ruler, guide, zoom, format, slideshow. No.
You don't have pointer options.
No. Not when I drop it down. Paste special, format, background, import from iPhone, slideshow. Oh, wait a minute, guys. Nope.
Wait, I hope my mouse was showing when I use Google Slides, because I don't really use PowerPoint. So.
Hold on a minute. Oh, God. What did it? It took a room. Hang on a second. I gotta knock this off for a minute. Let's see here.
I just saw your mouse pointer.
Yeah, now I can see your mouse.
I just saw your mouse pointer.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, over there.
Yeah, I don't know what you did. Have you been trying to show these things not in slideshow view?
Right. Yep.
Well, then don't do that anymore.
Why?
Go into slideshow view.
Okay.
Because it can't control the presentation for you if you're not doing a presentation. You're just showing individual slides in kind of like editing mode in PowerPoint. And so if you go into slideshow presentation, you'll have that opportunity.
Yeah, it's just that is that turns out to be the easiest way to do it. I would have to I'd have to adjust the screen to get this to work, but now you see my mouse. Well, that's cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's an idea. It's a little sluggish. Seems a little slow, but okay. Well,
all right. Well, Scott Duke providing answers in atheism for your SlidePoint presentations.
Still not happy with that, Scott. I'm sorry.
What the heck is everyone in the chat talking about?
Oh man, we need to get them in here to talk about stuff that they're talking about in chat.
Yeah, I saw Leo in the chat. One of the earlier comments.
Leo was in here in the chat. He could probably tell us some things about. Is it Boomer Hour again? Well, I would almost call that ageism if I wasn't so young at heart.
Yeah, that's a little fucking ageist, Just
The joke is old.
And then Chris. Let's see. Chris Peacock murdered people are full of empty space.
Oh yeah, something else I want to comment on. I did see that video by Jackson Wheat on HGT Nestlig. If you're still there,
I was too in need of a nap to watch the video. I got about halfway through and I decided I need to back this up and come back when I'm a little more well rested, because it was
I did the same thing.
Complicated for me.
Yeah, I made it halfway through and then had to take a nap, emergency nap. So
Yeah,
which is what happens if you sleep 3 hours a night. Some people sleep at night. I hear. I don't know.
Such a thing. By the way, I put a link in the private chat to a really good debate today on Myth Vision about did the Exodus really take place? And it was between Dr. Josh Bowen and Egyptologist Dr. Maggie Bryson, and then a wannabe intellectual named Jonathan Sheffield and C.J. Cox. Ooh. So it was a real good debate. Maybe if they'd had other scholars on there, I don't know exactly where you could take it, because basically you don't really hear too many PhDs argue for this particular kind of literalism. I'm sorry. There's literary and then there's literal. They were going for literal literary stuff,
Yeah.
Maggie Bryson happens to be like an Episcopalian, so she's not like an atheist, but she is an Egyptologist. So her specialty's in studying Egypt, but she studies the perfect range of time to be able to deal with biblical issues. So that's another reason to pay attention to her when she comes on the YouTubes.
Yeah, for a second, Scott, if I were going to say Dr. Josh and Dr. Bryson were the ones debating, that would be weird.
That would be.
The evolution of the horse. It's another one that you linked.
That was by accident, but
was it?
Yeah, the one about that's one we had linked before, like in a previous weather report or something, and so I accidentally copied that first and didn't realize it. So now and then you've got the correct one now.
I found something real wonderful.
PragerU.
Okay, but look at the bottom. Okay, if you can see the bottom here, PragerU is experiencing. Let's see if I can get it to run. Is experiencing severe censorship. Why is that?
Why would they be? Are they giving out bullshit advice on COVID?
These are children's videos here where they're, they're giving out. Okay, in this video, he talks about how there's two kinds of energy. There's reliable energy and there's unreliable energy. This douchebag here. Yeah. And the unreliable energy is like windmills and solar. So it's unreliable because there isn't always wind and there isn't always sun. And then right smack in the middle of their little talk here, let's see, where do they do it? They drop a bird down, a dead bird, to show that windmills kill birds. And he makes the point that coal energy and oil and nuclear, I would agree with him on nuclear, are the only reliable source of energy. And they're plentiful. Coal and oil are just, the earth is full of them. But then he complains when windmills take up a lot of real estate or solar panels take up a lot of real estate. And if you've ever seen strip mining in coal country, tell me what takes up real estate.
Right.
Because they go ahead and they scrape the earth, basically, and turn it into
nothing but dozens and dozens of empty pits filled with toxic water all around where I grew up because of bauxite strip mining. So, that's a lot of real estate there, too. You could put a lot of houses and stores and things in that area.
Then they go to Africa and talk to the little African girl and find out that she doesn't have electricity. And then they fly her over with her time machine because for some reason they have a goddamn time machine to talk to their racist uncle. I don't know. But anyway, this is
all that energy and power used to talk to your racist uncle when all you have to do is wait till Thanksgiving.
Very interesting. And here's the Jetsons. Just to round things out, here's the Jetsons. Anyway,
It's George Jetson.
Why does it look like he's trying to suffocate her?
it looks like he's trying to put one of those things you put over a turkey, on for dinner table to keep it warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell he's trying to do. I'm not sure what he's doing. I suppose I'll get a copyright strike for this shit. Yeah, that's pretty high-tech shit there, man. Money. Okay, they didn't have cash on their iPhones, apparently.
Yeah, apparently nobody had imagined the iPhone yet.
Yeah, no.
Or digital money, yeah.
Conveyor belts. Yeah, this was a trip. Anyway. Yeah, that's gonna be a copyright strike, but who gives a rat's ass anymore, right? We don't care. So we're not getting anybody in here, surprisingly.
Nobody wants to come over and play with us.
Nobody loves us. Well, we might do Sonata tonight. I don't know. And if we do, I was thinking of, I love my new image. I was thinking of doing a little bit on gun control. Gerstreams last night did a bit on gun control.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. And there's.
I'm sorry. I can't stand politics. It's not my thing.
Oh, well, yeah, but Andrew, every single one of us in this country has got to sample a little bit of politics and take part in it, right? Because
that's true.
Wrong. Something is wrong with politics. I mean, as far as getting shit done, what is it about the government that, I think back in the 60s when they used to talk about communism, the one thing they always mentioned is the amount of bureaucracy that communists had. And they had all this paperwork for everything. They had paperwork, and they could never get anything done. And isn't that pretty much what we have become? We can't get shit done. We've got two warring parties. We can't pass any reasonable laws at all. I mean, it's just, damn.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like there's common sense things that we can do to save lives and improve things, and we don't do it because it's complicated and you got to pass a law and all this bullshit. So I don't know.
Whenever you think what would be reasonable and smart to do for the average citizenry, you have to then think, well, with the corporate money, would they want that for the average citizenry, and expect that they're going to be spending money to direct the legislatures away from what is good for regular people?
Yeah.
Oh, now Leo's back.
Leo!
Hey, Leo, come in here and save the stream. Just kidding.
I'm talking about the cosmological constant that causes bureaucracy. The sluggishness of our fucking country, the shit we've gotten into. Just amazing.
Or maybe Nestle could come in. Nestle has some good stuff to say.
Yeah. Or we could shoot it in the head.
Yeah, if need be.
Yeah. Yeah, we could shoot it in the head, maybe reconvene for Sonata tonight, maybe at 8 o'clock, something like that. What do you think of that? We could do that. I'll send out invites.
That might work.
Yep, I can go get dinner. Dinner would be cool. I like dinner. Dinner.
Oh, I don't know if Luca wanted to come, and he said to give me a couple minutes.
Yeah, we're gonna go live again tonight, Luca.
Okay.
I'm going to copy a link into the side chat. It is a Ask Me Anything by Dr. Steve Mason for anybody who has any interest in Josephus and the Greco-Roman world during the first century. That will be a good thing. It's at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow.
Okay.
That's going to be good.
So you threw that in comments?
No, side chat.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Let me take a look at that, and I'll put it in the description just for the hell of it.
Right,
okay.
Comments, same difference.
Yeah. Okay, we will shoot her in the head now. we are going to kill it. Thank you, Andrew.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay. Goodbye, cruel world.